Welcome back to the Empty the Quiver podcast, your front row seats for all things Utah Archers. From game recaps to standout performances, we'll be your guide to all things orange and blue. Let's let it fly. Ladies and gentlemen, back for another episode with PLL Player of the Week, three-time PLL champion, Mac O'Keefe. Welcome, Mac.
What's up, fellas? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. I'll just start us off right away with a little bit of something on the humorous side. A video went viral in the lacrosse community a couple weeks ago. A man wearing a dress shirt, dress pants, dress shoes, had his lacrosse gloves and stick, concrete wall in New York City, getting some work in over his lunch break. It blew up on social media, got over 100,000 likes, tons of comments. The comment section's hilarious. A lot of your teammates commented because it turns out it is one Piper Bond, friend of the program. And one comment that stood out to me was Archer's goalie Brett Dobson. He made a comment and it was just tagging you and one emoji with the pencil and notepad as if, hey Mac, take notes. Did you see the video and did you see the comment?
Yes, that was about the 15th time I was sent that video. And the reason why he commented that is in our court system, I don't know if any guys talked about how we do court each week, just hold each other accountable. It just could be anything. But I'm the social media coordinator. So anything that any guy's doing that's a little out there, want to be checked on, it's sent to me. So yeah, I was sent that about 25 times and we had a good chuckle about that. But it's all right. Daubers, he's got a running tab for his social media fines. So
Was there a fine levied for Piper getting caught off guard?
no, I almost gave him, a little credit there. He's getting the work in between the lunch shift. But it was funny. We're going to keep that one going as the numbers continue to increase each week. It's so funny.
I'm glad you cleared that up because as an outsider, I saw that comment and thought, wow, Dauber throwing Mac under the bus saying, take notes, go get some work in over your lunch break.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys have any videos you see, send them my way.
We'll be on the hunt.
The other half of the Archer's goalie room is one Nick Washuta, another friend of the program. Rumor is that the night before your record-setting performance, you and Nick were assigned as roommates in the team hotel.
Correct.
Nick may have given you some tips and tricks and a little bit of the secret sauce behind how to put the ball in the back of the net against an all-world goalie. And now, while I'm not asking for all those secrets, can you confirm or deny that happened?
Oh, yeah. That definitely had a big factor into the thought process going in the next day. I think it's cool, honestly, just talking to goalies, hearing their perspective of what they're seeing. Because, as a shooter, you're not always thinking that. You're just looking for space on the goal. But if you really break it down and analyze, what they're thinking for each save, where the ball is, could give yourself somewhat of an advantage. But, yeah, no, he was just telling me a few things to look out for the next day, and I think it helped out a lot.
So I think then, common denominator, we can all agree, Empty the Quiver podcast.
Yep. Shoot to get hot. Shoot to get hot. Shoot to stay hot.
To your point, though, goalies, Coach Cav played goalie, right?
Yeah.
And now he coaches offense. So it makes sense to be a goalie, you understand what's going to work on offense.
Yeah. I think it's also you got to balance it out a little bit. You don't want to be talking too much about where to be shooting on goalies because then you could overanalyze and you end up being in your own head. I never really enjoyed watching film on goalies, especially back in college, because then I just feel like I'm thinking way too much about it and I'm not really being reactive to what I'm saying. But little things like that definitely help.
Yeah, I think the common denominator, I think you probably got some residual, good luck from the podcast appearance. So now you'll have your own. Feel free to share it with whoever you want. Definitely want to see this rolling, but definitely want to talk about the 7 goals in the game. Obviously ties a PLO record with past Archer Will Manny, Westberg, Brendan O'Neill. Unfortunately did it against us, and there was one other one.
Jeff Teat.
After that first one falls, that first one was beautiful. That was a no angle. I don't know how you snuck that one in the back of the net. But what does it take for you to really kind of get in that flow state or in the zone? And how does it feel out there? Did you just feel like you're shooting with no goalie?
Yeah, I actually said it in the post game presser. It's just when you do get that first one to fall, it's such a good feeling. Just the monkey off the back, and I think the past few games I really haven't felt like myself. Honestly, even like last year entirely, have not felt like the player that I'm used to being. And anytime you can get that rhythm going early, it's so nice. And just that day, the way they were playing defense and the way that our offense was, commanding slides, it was just opening up lanes for me. And I just happened to be at the end of, some really good play from our middies and other attackmen.
6 of your goals out of the 7 were assisted. So Trey LeClaire, Jackson and I talked on our last episode about the difference he made coming out of the box, full speed. The Chaos defense seemed to be on their heels the entire game, and being a recipient of 6 assists, what difference did Trey LeClaire make in that game?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta like tell him or just remind him like how big and strong he is, because he just commands so much respect from defenses, and when he puts his shoulder down and just runs at people, like a lot of good things are gonna happen. So the more that he plays like that, I think it'll just directly correlate to success for our offense and for our team.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you said that you were feeling kind of like the player of old. That was the Trey LeClaire that we have seen in the past. Obviously he was out for a little bit in 2025 and never really found the groove. Down the stretch. Obviously Ryan Ambler also had 3 assists. Connor Fields had his 3 points that we've kind of come to expect from him. The hometown kid got a goal. Just talk about what else was going so well on offense. Obviously the slides, but it seems like y'all are kind of fitting the pieces in there. Piper Bond is setting picks everywhere. The D mids are really kind of coming into their own.
Yeah, I think if you look back at our first few games, how passive we were, and just how many like shot clock violations and possessions that just led to nothing. It was pretty bad just watching the film back. It was like, who are these guys on the field right now? This is not our offense. This is not, the talent that we have. So we just talked about just being more aggressive out of the box, putting pressure on defenses, um, and just playing a little bit harder, and not really just trying to be perfect offensively. Just being willing to make mistakes and just playing at 100 miles an hour. You're going to force teams to play a certain way, and not dictate the way that you're playing as a team. And I think our defense and everything else has been so good, and we haven't held up our side of the bargain. So we know we got a lot more work to do, but I think it was a good step for us this past week.
What's it like with film? So a lot of the pro sports, everyone lives in market. They get in a room together. It's obviously a little bit different where you're probably in a Zoom call similar to this one. But how do you really break down film and hold each other accountable? And what's it like after a win and after a loss when you see the different kinds of performances?
I think it's the same thing each week. You try and take the good and bad from each game. Um, I think the past few weeks we've had a lot more bad than good, but I think it is a good thing to identify the plays that should be consistent with our team, in order for us to keep winning. But yeah, usually just meet as a team all together at first, talk about those what it takes plays, just those effort plays that we need to keep consistent, and then we'll break up offense, defense, and just talk more X's and O's stuff.
Did it mean something more to you as a former Chaos player who was drafted? Connor Fields played on the Chaos in 19 and 20. He left to join the Archers, and to replace him, they drafted you 6th overall. You were there for 2 years, primarily a midfielder, I believe. Was
Yeah.
it a little something extra going back to play against the team that picked you?
I would love to say yes, but so many of those guys are gone now, even Coach Towers. So I treated it just like any other game. Every team's so good now. You got to be prepared no matter what. But yeah, I think with Stephen Brooks as their head coach, they've been playing with some extra juice, and excited to play them at their home this past weekend. And yeah, now I would love to say yes to that, but most of those guys are gone now, and it's just another game.
In the past, you've said that you'll play as hard as you can at whatever position we need on offense. What's the difference in your mind between playing attack and midfield? Because I think we've done a little bit of both this year. You know, we had Ambler and Fields on the left side for some games, and now you've kind of reestablished yourself as the other attackman there. You know, just talk to us about kind of what the difference is between those.
Yeah, I think early on we were just trying to mix up matchups. I think coming out of the box for me, I was just trying to get matched up with a short stick and work 2-man game with guys, open other guys up. But I think when you're playing attack, it's so much easier to get into a flow of the game. You just touch the ball so much more. I think there are some games you play as a midi, you don't feel like you even break a sweat because like you get on the field, our midi sub, and then there's 12 seconds left on the clock, and it's like you either go to the goal or you don't touch the ball and you're just running right off. So like it's a lot of that, but as an attackman, you're touching it way more. You get into a flow, you're getting more shots, and yeah.
And talk to us a little bit more. Obviously, we're missing some pretty big guys on offense: Matt Moore, Grant Ament, your running mate at Penn State, and Tom Schreiber. Talk to us about kind of the evolution that we've had to go through this year with some younger guys. We've had CKG and Cola in there. Ryan Steins has been consistent for us, and then Leo Johnson this past week. How are those guys kind of evolving and bringing new elements to the offense?
Yeah, those guys have been great, especially the college guys. You look at all the college guys throughout the league, they're usually the most prepared players, early on in the season because they've just been practicing every day. Yeah, but no, it's been a really smooth transition for them, getting them into the offense. They all have different sort of skill sets, and we've used them differently. But yeah, those guys that are injured as well, I think it's really important to keep in contact with them. Like, been in a lot of communication with Tom, with Grant, and all those guys, just to keep them involved, keep them part of it. For when they do come back, it's back to normal, back to what it was before. But yeah, no, the young guys have been a huge help for us. Still starting to learn, how we play. But yeah, excited for those other guys to come back as well.
How big of an influence was Grant being an archer when you decided to make that jump in 2023?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a big factor. But there were so many other guys too, like Tom, Fieldy, like being a part of that offense, playing against them every year. I was like, damn, this would be awesome to be part of this offense. There's so many guys that can distribute the ball. But yeah, no, it was a big part of it, but I don't think it was all of it. I think the defense as well, having to go against like Graham Hossack. When I was on the Chaos, I think we played them in the playoffs one year. It was in Utah. And if you go back, there's a clip of him just completely flipping me over his back. And I was like, I never want to play against this guy again. So,
Well, I think the statute of limitations is 3 years, but
yeah.
there was a little like, hey, we're going to come get you in free agency from Bates, kind of on the way out of the playoffs in 2022, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't argue with 221 collegiate goals. You set the NCAA record. It's since been broken by some of these young studs that you just mentioned, but it still remains a PSU record. The combo of you and Grant, I'm a Penn State guy, so being in Pennsylvania, you're a legend here. So we're glad to have you.
Appreciate it. Let's go.
Would y'all have won the championship in 2020?
Oh, that's tough to say. I would have liked to say yes. I think we were on pace. We had a tough battle with Cornell right before everything ended. But no, we had a really good team. And I think it would have been a good run for us, but I can't confidently say that.
Well, so now you've been an archer since the 2023 season. So I guess this is year 4 for you. Talk to us, just give us like a good story, something, maybe a court find, the best one that you've seen, or a locker room, or just hanging out after a game, just something to just give a little more color to the team.
Something that won't get you fined for sharing.
That's correct.
Yeah, I got to think about it. Honestly, there's so many things that Dauber's done over the years. I can't pinpoint one exactly off the top of my head. You might have to give me a second there, but I'll get back to you on it. There's so many good ones.
We'll talk about Japan. There's got to be a story that stands out. You went to Japan with the PLL. What's it like? And describe that trip as a whole. I know we've had a couple guys from our team go now over the past couple of years. It's pretty awesome. So what was that experience like?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I jumped at it when I was offered. But yeah, just getting over there, the culture is just so different. Like everybody's so respectful. I was really surprised at how much they loved the game. And it was honestly a little refreshing, like seeing how much they love the game and how much they want to learn. Um, it was so cool. Like those guys are really talented and they're going to be good uh, in the years coming. But no, there were so many things I picked up. Those guys are awesome.
And now you're back in America and you had Team USA tryouts. For those that don't follow Team USA as much as others, what exactly is that tryout for? When would that team participate once it's selected? And how was camp?
Yeah. So this past tryout was for the men's national team, not sixes. So this one will be in Tokyo in 2027. So going back to Japan. But yeah, no, tryouts were good. It was a bit of a grind coming off that Charlotte weekend, especially the guys that played 2 games. But it's Team USA. Like, do anything to be on that team. So guys were laying it all out there. But it was fun to play with some guys that you just go against. Like some of the guys we just played against the Chaos. We were playing with them the next day. So it was cool.
Yeah, and you've also played on the national box team. That's probably a little different crew, maybe some overlap to this previous tryout. But talk to us about that and that team.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Another one that I've always wanted to do as a kid. But spent a week in Utica. We played really well. It was actually the first time, I believe, I might be wrong here, but the first time we got silver and beat the Haudenosaunee. So it was a really talented crew, and I think that team's going to do pretty well moving forward. I think the hardest thing for the men's national team box is having a goalie. Like there's not many goalies that play in states, so that's a bit of a barrier. But the talent's getting really good. Like the more college guys you see play up north in the summer, it's just gonna make everybody a lot better. So yeah.
Yeah, the first time I went to a NLL game, our friend Mike Sisselberger played for Rochester last season, and
Mhm.
they were playing the Wings, and Blaze is there as an attackman for the Wings. I'm just, what is happening right now? I'm an outside. I'm a field guy, so that was a shock
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, he's a big body, but his hands are unbelievable. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, when we kind of started this podcast, we had another friend of the program, Zach Carey, and both John and I look back on the walkie-talkie story super fondly. You don't have to reveal any more than you want to, but without maybe saying their nickname, who had the best nickname during the whole walkie-talkie saga?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, mine was the White Dragon, so
Okay.
I'll
I
throw
haven't
that
heard that
out
one
there.
yet.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the story. That's new information.
Um, Damn, I gotta think about that. I think Tom's was Matador, which was kind of funny, but no, there were some good ones. That was a funny camp.
Jackson Bates gave us his. What was it again?
His is the Godfather.
The Godfather. That's good.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
pretty good.
And I think the rule was if you were on your rookie contract, you were allowed to talk. So I think they gave us Sis's nickname. That was L Top. You know,
That's probably the
Spider was
best
in
one.
there.
Yeah,
Um, I'm obviously Piper's 007. Trying to think what else he was able to put in the article, but I don't know.
there's
It's
some ones
just,
you can't. There's definitely
I
some
mean,
ones you can't include.
I mean, Dauber just giving somebody the batteries out of his insulin pump. I mean, what a great story.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
What's better, the first title or the defense?
The defense, I think. I mean, my first 4 years playing the league were pretty crazy. I think it takes you to the first time you don't make it to realize how difficult it actually is. But I was part of some extremely talented teams. Like the first one that I won with the Chaos, I think we were last in the league until like a few
Yeah.
weeks left in the season and somehow snuck our way in and just went on a run and Blaze got hot. But being on that side and then being part of the Archers when we had a really talented team, I think we only had 2 losses and won it. It was just a bit of a different situation, but I think doing it the second time was a little more special just because you realize how much goes into it, how hard it is to win those games later in the year. And you just have a little bit more experience. I think it makes it a little bit more meaningful, just knowing all the stakes that go into it.
Yeah, no, the 2024 season. I mean, obviously Tom goes down in Utah, and we have to kind of rally. You know, we win two huge games. Talk to us about kind of the environment in Utah and how much or what it means to you to go play in front of a home crowd like that.
Yeah, that's our favorite place to play, obviously, but I really think the fans are the rowdiest in Utah. It's so loud. Like even on the broadcast, you can hear it. But looking back at that year when Tom got hurt, it was obviously brutal for everyone. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how hurt he actually was at the time. And then you see him come back onto the field, and the crowd just goes insane. That was a big jolt to our team's energy. But I think moving forward from that, Ryan Ambler took a huge leadership position for us, and he's not typically the loudest guy, but everybody respects his work ethic, and when he does have something to say, people are going to listen. So he did a really good job stepping in there and taking control for us.
Yeah, I remember after that season ended, Jackson and I did not have a podcast at that time, but the Arrowhead, the PLL supporter group out in Utah, for the locals, they invited us on theirs, and we were talking about standout players, and Ambler's the first guy that came to mind because it was, like you said, so many question marks when you lose a leader like Tom, the best player in the world at the time, and to have Ryan come in and do what he did and not miss a beat and just take it straight back to the championship was super impressive to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, he's super consistent in everything that he does. And if you look at that game against the Chaos, he didn't score a goal, but what he brought to our team, just bombing out of the box and forcing teams to slide a little bit differently and play the crease a little bit more, like that provides our offense with so much more than just scoring goals. So he is a silent killer for us.
So your old teammate was Blaze, and you won a championship with him. So after you score 7 on him, what's the conversation like?
He was giving me shit a little bit all game, but it's funny. Try and go back and forth with him a little bit, but no, I have so much respect for him, and I said this in the post-game presser too. I don't think I scored 7 goals like in practice in my entire time with the Chaos. So being able to do that in a game, I was like honestly a little surprised.
Yeah. Speaking of, 7 goals in a game, did you ever score? I think you scored 9 one time at Penn State. I mean, did you ever just go off one time in high school and put up double digits?
I never had double digits, I don't think, but I think in high school I had a few that were like 7 or 8. Yeah, never 10.
10's the magic number though, because we beat the Chaos 10-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah, with that too. Dauber gives me a lot of shit about that too, because we probably would have shut them out, but I took a shot at the end of the game that got stuffed, and they went back in transition. So I think I got fined for that the following week, which is funny. But yeah, he should have just saved it.
Yeah, that is true. For 2 years we've been talking about wanting that shutout so badly as fans, and I never really thought it's partly Mac O'Keefe's fault.
Yeah, if you go back, it was probably a bad shot to take, but should have saved it.
You're not wrong. If it's 10-0, it's kind of just like light work with a minute left in the game. What's a typical weekend when you're not on the field or in the practice facility? I know there's a team hotel where you're all together. We always talk about ice cream games where Coach Resch buys the defense ice cream if they hold them to single digits. I'm sure there's stuff going on with you guys in the offense. What do you guys do outside of lacrosse?
I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of just relaxing, trying to get your body right before the game, before practice. But if it's not that, we're just playing cards, like hanging out, just chatting. Nothing crazy. Just trying to keep it light before the games.
Is there a popular card game that you all play the same thing all the time, or do you always mix it up?
To be honest, I'm not the biggest cards guy, so I'm not in those card games too often, but I'll just hang out. But I think they play Schnarps a lot.
That's a new one. I'll have to learn that.
Or golf. I think they play golf too. I'm not totally sure.
Golf's a good one. I'm pretty sure Dauber's nickname from the walkie-talkie comes from how he acts at card games. I don't know if y'all remember. I think it was Greaseball.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
I think somebody probably picked that one up, which I having
That's not just the card games. That's just life in general.
having spoken to his parents and his grandma a few times, I understand where he gets that from because apparently he can't beat them in whatever game they play, and so he tries to cheat.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
So at the end of each episode, Jackson and I have a little fun with lacrosse trading cards. We're card nerds. You were a guest at Mike Sisselberger's wedding, so I brought you one of your own cards. As you know, I collect them, and Jackson and I like to surprise each other just with a card of the episode, just a way to kind of dive into our collection. Because why else are we storing little pieces of cardboard with guys' faces on it? So we surprise each other. Jackson, you can go first with whatever card you have today, and then I'll go.
all right. Well, I've got a nice little red. It's actually the 10 out of 10. That's Mac
Nice.
from the set that came out last fall. I know I've got some rookie cards somewhere because I just had a feeling, when you got drafted, you were going to end up being an archer at some point just because of, the connection with Grant. So I have those somewhere. I couldn't find them today, but that's still pretty
Oh
pretty
yeah,
awesome card to have.
let's go.
Jackson, we have so much in common, and this is the first time that we were thinking on the same wavelength for the card segment. I have the red Mac, but I'm not somebody who's going to one up you, but I'm going to one up you. Um,
Damn.
I've got, it's called a rainbow when it's the different versions of the card. You've got the 99, the 50s, the 25, the 10, and
Damn.
this is the gold one of one. Obviously, one is printed. There's only one of them out there. The only card I don't have to complete that rainbow is a green 2, which you have, Mac. We've named it the best friends card because there are only two of them. One goes to the people buying the cards, and the other is in the player's hands. So I'm hoping to find that one day, and then we'll be best friends.
Let's go. Good luck.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, Mac, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a little time with us. Congratulations on the awesome performance. Hope to see it against the Redwoods. I know that they're going to be down a few polls, so hopefully the slide packages will look like Carolina's and you can just let it fly. But that is how we take everybody out. So everybody remember, let it fly.